It all began with a silence, but not an ordinary silence. It was a silence that seemed to watch, wait. A silence that precedes thunder, that announces something grand about to break the limits of reality. I was alone, exiled, left on the margin of the empire, but not out of God's reach. Patmos was not just an island, it was an altar. Rough rocks and endless sea formed my scenery, but my soul burned with unfulfilled promises, with visions not yet revealed. The world had forgotten me, but heaven never. It was the Lord's day. I was in spirit, and then heaven spoke. The voice came behind me, like a sonic arrow piercing eternity. It was not soft nor gentle. It was a trumpet piercing the air with the force of truth. It was command and welcome. It was fire and tenderness. Come up here. These words did not ask for permission. They carried an authority so pure that my spirit could not resist. I was caught up, not as someone escaping reality, but as one called to its center. And then I saw an open door in heaven. Not symbolic, literal. A portal between worlds, suspended in eternity. And through it, I entered a place no man may visit on his own merit. There was the throne. At the absolute center of everything, more real than anything I had ever touched. A throne raised high, surrounded by living glory. And upon it, the one who lives forever. I could not see him clearly, not because of distance, but because his presence was like fire and light fused in holiness. His being was like jasper and ruby fused into a living glory, surrounded by a rainbow of emerald hues, as if even the colors obeyed his command. Lightning came from the throne, alive, pulsating, like God's thoughts made visible. Thunder echoed as if the echoes of creation still answered the first word, "Let there be." Before the throne, 7 torches burned, the 7 flames of the Spirit. They did not consume, but reveal. They did not destroy, but discern. Each pulsed with an aspect of the divine nature, wisdom, understanding, counsel, might, knowledge, fear, and the presence of the Lord. And at my feet, a sea, but not a sea of waves. It was crystal, liquid glass, a mirror of eternity. Every step I took felt like walking on frozen time, on cosmic consciousness. Around the throne, 24 other thrones stood in a circle. Seated upon them were 24 elders. Ancient men, yet full of divine youth. Their robes were white like consummated justice. Their crowns shone not for their own glory, but as a reflection of the King of Kings.
And then, the 4 living creatures. Hard to explain what I saw. They did not belong to any known category. One was like a lion, majestic, full of authority. The second was like an ox, symbol of service, patience, and sacrifice. The third had the face of a man, intelligence, consciousness, will. The fourth was like an eagle, soaring above mysteries, always seeing beyond. But what paralyzed me was that their bodies were covered with eyes, inside and out. They saw everything. They saw every intention, every thought, every moment. Time for them was like an open tapestry. They beheld what was, what is, and what will be, simultaneously. And they sang. They did not rest. Never. Day and night they declared with voices that shook dimensions. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. Each time it proclaimed this absolute holiness, the elders left their thrones. They bowed, they threw down their crowns, they surrendered. And as they did, something sacred happened. It was not submission out of fear, but love in its purest form, reverence born from contemplation. It was worship that did not depend on blessings, but on the beauty of the one worshipped. But then, something new. Something that caught my gaze with even greater force than the throne. In the right hand of the one who sits at the center of all, there was a book, a scroll, sealed with 7 seals, and immediately I understood. There was the record of God's will for creation. Justice, redemption, judgment, glory, restoration. But it was locked. And then an angel proclaimed with a loud voice, "Who is worthy to open the book and break its seals?" The heavens, which before vibrated with praise, fell silent. A sacred silence came over everything. A silence that screamed the absence of one worthy. No heavenly being, no creature, no spirit, neither angel nor man, nor king, no one. And I wept, because I understood. Without someone worthy to open the book, history would remain broken. Justice would lie asleep. Redemption would remain a song unsung. But then I felt a hand on my shoulder. It was one of the elders. His gaze was steady and full of contained joy. He pointed and said, "Do not weep. The Lion of the tribe of Judah has triumphed, the heir to the throne of David. He is worthy." My heart raced. I turned my eyes to see the lion. I expected something majestic, untamable, irresistible. But what I saw was a lamb. And he stood, but as if he had been killed. His wounds were still speaking, still shining. They were wounds that no longer bled, but carried the mark of victory. His eyes, I cannot forget. They were fire, they were life, they were glory. And the Lamb moved forward, in silence, without haste, without fear. He approached the throne and extended his marked hands. And he took the book.
The moment the Lamb took the book, the universe seemed to hold its breath. Something invisible broke. The tension of silence was torn like a veil. Eternity could no longer contain itself. The heavens burst into worship. The 4 living creatures and the 24 elders fell with their faces to the ground before the Lamb. They did not hesitate. They did not question. They knew. The worthiness they sought was there, embodied in the one who was wounded out of love. Each one held a harp in their hands and golden bowls full of incense, but it was not an ordinary fragrance. It was the aroma of prayers, the prayers of the saints. Your prayers, mine, ours. There were whispers made in the dark, cries of desperation, silent tears, requests that seemed ignored. They were all there, before the throne and the Lamb, treasured and never forgotten. And then the music began, a song unlike any ever heard before. Worthy are you to take the book and open its seals, because you were slain, and by your blood you purchased for God people of every tribe, language, people, and nation. You have made them a kingdom and priests, and they shall reign on the earth. Every word was alive, every note pulsed with power. This song was not just music, it was revelation. It was the story of redemption sung by creation itself. And suddenly, I looked around and it was no longer just that group worshiping. Millions, billions, an army of angels, countless as stars, surrounded the throne and the Lamb. Each raised their voice, and in perfect harmony they sang, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power, riches, wisdom, strength, honor, glory, and praise." And then
As if the very universe had a soul, I heard the earth respond. The seas roared, the mountains echoed, the wind carried the words to the ends of creation. Every creature, visible or invisible, living or sleeping, responded in unison. To him who sits on the throne and to the Lamb be praise, honor, glory, and power forever and ever. It was then that I understood. The center of the universe is not a black hole, nor a cosmic explosion, not even an idea. The center of the universe is a throne. And on that throne, it is not chaos, nor chance, not injustice. It is the Lamb, the one who conquered, not with sword but with blood, not with violence but with sacrifice, the one who could destroy but chose to save. And before him all things find their purpose. I saw the elders bow once more. I saw the creatures fall in worship. I saw the heavens open in light. And for the first time, I grasped something that words cannot explain. Worship is not a ritual. It is not music. It is not an event. Worship is the only possible reflection before such glory. The throne is occupied. The book is in good hands. The end has already been written, and it finishes with justice, restoration, and glory. All these things I saw, not with eyes of flesh, but with the eyes of spirit. And even though I am but dust and breath, I write all this for you, so that you may also see, so that you may know, so that you may believe. There is nothing to fear, because heaven is open, the door is still ajar, the voice still calls, the throne still shines, and the Lamb reigns. He is alive, wounded, yes, but triumphant. He bears marks, but each one is a seal of victory. No matter how much the world seems to spin in darkness, no matter how loud the cries, the wars, the losses, above all, beyond all, there is a throne. And on that throne, it is not a merciless judge. There is a Lamb who chose to be wounded to heal, who chose to die so that you might live. This vision is not only to be contemplated, it is an invitation. Enter through the door, lift your eyes, surrender, worship, for he is worthy, and he lives, and he is coming.